Hello friends, this is XL Casper and you are watching Kerbal Space Program live stream number 2. Last live stream we landed our ore processing plant up on the Mun and our rovers. This time we are going to try and land our part assembler up there as well. We thought we were done with that little ore base, but it turns out we need to have a part assembler up there as well. So we're going to try to land and launch that and get our ore processing plant up and going so we can start launching crafts from the Mun. We did have at one time a launcher that had this attached to it. I'm going to look through real quick again and see if I can't find it. Launcher base. Rocket parts. Does not look like we got one. So we are going to go with, let's go with our launcher base. This is a good start. Um, this will have most of our parts in it already. And then we'll build a little platform for this to use. Grab this off here. Alright, so we need exoplanetary right there, the Kerbal Rocket Workshop. And we can plunk this down, maybe. There. Alright, and we want a good base for this to sit on once it lands. I think we can go actually pretty basic with this. We got almost everything we need up there to run already. We've got power, we've got solar panels. We do need a way to control it, to move it, because we're trying to make this base pretty mobile. So I think I will go with the Bobcat base for the rover. Control, utility. It's hard to remember where this piece is. There it is. My favorite cart module. We'll slap that on the bottom. That will give us a way to drive this around. It's hopefully not going to be too top heavy and want to tip over on us. I think though this is going to be the best way to go. Our only other choice would be to put this on a robotic arm that would stand it upright when we needed it. I think we're going to go with this though and see how it goes. If it tips over, we can redesign it and go from there. But I want to try and keep it pretty basic. We just need a winch. Let's pull up Cass here. Utilities. Let's throw a winch on this thing because you can never have too many winches. And, oh, that's right, it doesn't want to attach there. Let's grab our structure. In order to get this attached to the cart, we have to put a plate down first, and then attach it to the plate. Now I found before going underneath the car was not a good idea. I thought that would be great and work well, but it seems that when it's underneath the car we can't actually grab it. We keep clicking on the car base itself. So I'm trying to get, I don't want to straight up like that. Let's try using something else. Let's use a octagonal strut. Here's what we want. Just like that. Now if we turn this, we should be able to attach it right there. And of course when using CAS we have to use the connector. A lot of people are confused at why they would have a connector piece and not just make it so that you can work without it. The reason is you don't have to attach this connector piece to a winch. You could actually put one of these radial connector ports on, and then the connector piece, and then a magnet, and have a magnet attached directly to it without the wedge. So then you could actually just drive up, flip your magnet on without the cable. So that will let us plug in. We do want some way to sit on this, and for the rover we will grab my favorite control pod. Oops, we're in the wrong ones. Right here. I believe it's the very last one. There it is. External command seat. This is a great command seat for this rover here. Get that in place. Alright. Now we got a way to drive it. We've got our winch for attaching it. And we got the lander there. So I think we're pretty good. I'm a little concerned that when we drop this that it may tip over. So let's throw some landing legs on there. Let's go with the ones that pop down. These guys here. And yeah, symmetry 2. And we're going to turn our angle snap off. That way we can plop one there. And one right over here. Come on. Attach. There we go. There, that should give us our legs so that we now have a nice stable base. I'm a little concerned though, the problem with these legs, because they fold out, is when you deploy them when you're already on the ground from wheels like this, they have a tendency to try and flip your vehicle. Our only other choice is these landing legs, but as you can see, they're massive. Those ones go straight down. Landing struts, I haven't really played with these. It looks like these ones just fold straight down. These might be better. Yeah, we're going to test out these legs. Because that's what Kerbal Space Program's all about. Testing things out. So let's put you there. And we'll throw you on here. There. Oh, something else we should probably throw on here is the command module, or the, not the command module, the probe base here. We'll slap this sucker on somewhere. The reason we want this and an antenna is so that we can control this without a Kerbal in there. It makes it good. These carts have an issue that when you first load in their area, their brakes are always off, and so they have a tendency to start trying to roll, and we don't want that at all. Let's stick our seat there for a moment. I don't think we can attach, nope, there. So we will need a structure on here. Oh, let's go with another one of these. I don't think we want to sit up that high, but if we go like that, we can throw this right there on the front, and then we can take our seat. And we'll put our seat on this bar. So there we go. And now we just need to slap on an antenna and we should be ready to go. It's great reusing launchers like this. It makes building your rockets so much quicker and easier because you have 90% of it already built, it's tested, you know it works. Now, one thing we are going to have to do is add in some struts. With it being this tall, this is a pretty tall piece. this rocket is going to wobble. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have to do multiple launches here in order to get it up into to orbit. And oops, let's we'll leave that one there, I guess. Simply because I know it's going to wobble, and when it wobbles, pieces are going to try and break off, and then you realize you have a weak link here and a weak link there, and so you use these struts to strengthen them up. Now we're attaching them to both the upper portion and the lander piece here, the part we're trying to land our payload. That will help stabilize this payload, and it helps keep this from breaking off at the top. We may need to add a couple from up here down to this center piece as well to help stabilize the top a little more. It likes to break right there at the decoupler, and it likes to break right here at the decoupler. I don't know if they just made decouplers a little weaker, but that tends to be where this ship wants to break. Other than that, we should be good. Our stages should already be set because we reuse that. As you can tell, we are using asparagus staging here. Go ahead and Google that if you don't know what it is. It's basically hooking up your tanks with fuel lines in the order they drop. So this tank drops first, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. You can see this one here does feed into this one as well, and that's because this tank and this tank both drop at the same time. So this stage feeds into this one, this stage feeds into this one, this stage feeds into this one, and this fills our center. What this does is allows you to have all your engines on at launch, so you get tons of thrust. But as your stages start to drop off, your tanks are still full. So we are going to launch now and see what happens. Actually, abort the launch. We forgot to throw something on here, and I always forget to throw it on here because I don't have it part as the normal build. We want to throw MechJeb on here. Now, I know a lot of people say that MechJeb is cheating, and they're welcome to their opinion. It's not one that I agree with. I do think MechJeb makes it a bit easier, but I don't think it's cheating. And the reason being is I still need to know what transfers to do. So I still need to know how to get into orbit and what it's going to do and things like that. What it saves me from having to do is set up the maneuver nodes and taking care of them. Now, it's not that hard to, once you got a maneuver node in place, to actually do it. Turn your RCS on, point at the maneuver node. Once it's there, click on your SAS, and then burn for the recommended amount of time. MechJeb thankfully takes care of that for me, but we could do it manual mode as well. Again, this just allows me a little bit more freedom, and it gives me a chance to watch the rocket and see how it responds, instead of having to worry about actually trying to hit my maneuver nodes. Especially right now with getting new to streaming and whatnot, I find it a little hard to talk and play. If you watch the last episode, several times I forgot to take care of something or do something. Now this does have, even with MechJeb, you still have to kind of babysit it and know what's going on. It doesn't handle all of it all the time. So, alright, we are set there. This is an unmanned, so we do have to use our action group to launch and deploy our antenna. We are using remote tech, so we have to have our antenna deployed, otherwise we'll get up there and not have anything. So we are ready to... Oh, apparently we don't have that action group set up, so we are going to do it manually. And if this fails, we will set that action group up. And we are off. I'm hoping this isn't too loud for you guys. I do have it turned down pretty low. Launching can be really, really loud. And even with the sound set down to 1%, okay, we had something go wrong. Our engines up here should not be burning. And we burned through all of our stages, so let's figure out what's going on. End flight. End flight. Do we have some damage? Link between fuel tank and fuel tank. So our two RCS fuel tanks. I do remember this from the last build the last rocket I launched. We did separate there as well. So we will have to strengthen that right there. And that's why our other rockets fired, as our entire bottom half of our rocket just basically fell off. We broke apart right here between these two here. So you can see there's no structure between these two. We have some leftover ones that are supposed to connect, but they don't always connect up when you load them in for some reason. This game is alpha, so we do expect little bugs and stuff like that. So the way we're going to strengthen this is we're going to take our small little nodes here, and we want 4-way, and we're going to snap a node there. Alright, well, we're going to snap a node there then. And then we are going to snap one right below it. And that'll give us a nice place to put our struts. And the struts we are using right here. Up and up. There we go. So that should strengthen that. Let's go into our action group. And we're going to create a launching action group. Now it looks like we have the antenna on one already. What I like to do with this rocket, I'm not sure why it's not set up on this one, but we're going to do it, is add in all of our engines and release our clamps with one as well. And so that way, instead of hitting spacebar to launch, all we have to do is hit one and it launches our engines. It releases our clamp. So it works just like hitting the spacebar, but we get the added benefit of always turning on our antenna. And that's good because I often forget to turn on the antenna until I hit about 15,000 feet or so, and my rocket starts to flip upside down, and I'm wondering what's going on and why isn't it righty, and I can't control it, and then I remember, oh yeah, I didn't turn the antenna on, and I have to launch again. So let's hit, oh, we just saved over base. Dang it. We actually want this as rocket workshop. We may redo the base, we may not. I don't think we're going to be landing another base up on the Mun, but we may need to land it elsewhere, and that would have been a good jumping off point. Save and launch. Clear the launch pad. I would really like to see when you end flight to have your docking clamps not count as debris and automatically clear. I think that if the docking clamps are still on the launch pad, it should clear for you. Just my opinion, but it just seems odd we have to clear the docking clamps every time. Alright, so there's our rocket there again. We are ready. The plan for orbit is the same as last episode. We're going to launch up to okay, yep, okay, well, we had a small problem. We forgot to add one of our docking clamps. We have actually 8 docking clamps to hold this thing up. We forgot to add one of the set of docking clamps into our action group. So we released half our docking clamps when we fired our engine. And so, zoom out, is it these ones? Release clamp. Toggle generator. What? Must be because we already have them selected to give us another option. I didn't realize that this had a generator for your batteries and stuff. So interesting, very interesting. I guess that's good for when you're doing your timed launches, that you're not waiting on the the ground forever, draining your batteries. So, alright, engage. Just waiting for physics to pick up here. There we go. And one for launch. Much better. And we are off. Exciting stuff. I really wish there was some way to warp a little bit faster through the launch, but there's not. The only thing we could probably do would be to use something like hyper edit and automatically put ourselves into orbit. But that I think is definitely cheating, because then I don't have to build a rocket that can get into orbit. You know, I'm just there, or I can just teleport myself to the mun, and you know, as good as that would be for quickly deploying stuff, what would be left to do? So you can see a little bit of the wobble with this rocket, and this is another problem you have to deal with MechJeb. I think MechJeb just gives you new challenges while eliminating so many of the other ones. With this limit to terminal velocity on, one other thing MechJeb will do, especially when you have a lot of engines, you can see that it throttles up and down very quickly. And this causes your whole rocket bottom to kind of pulse up and down in bursts. And if you don't have a very strong rocket build with these struts and whatnot, it will basically punch up through your top part and snap. And that's one of the reasons we get the snaps right there at the decouplers, is because of this bouncing. So you do have to build slightly different rockets with MechJeb than you do when you're just launching yourself, because you have to account for that bouncing. So this is another reason I think that MechJeb really isn't cheating. It's just playing differently, because you do have things to take into account. You know, the other thing is you have to make sure your nav ball is always pointing towards the sky. If you put an inverted piece in there, MechJeb can't do an inverted launch. So you can either launch it yourself if you're flipping upside down. We had this issue when we launched our drilling platform, because the utilities module counts as a command module, and it had to be flipped upside down, and that was our primary piece. So when we start that launch, our nav ball is actually all brown pointing at the ground, and MechJeb will try and flip it. To remedy this, you throw on a probe, and before launch you have to remember to click control from here. If you don't, your rocket will take off, get a little bit into the air, and try to flip upside down, which with this style of rocket design and all the rockets there on the back, you can imagine what happens. It points towards the ground and quickly accelerates into it. So you do have to pay attention to things like that with MechJeb. What it does save you from is a lot of the math and plugging in the maneuver nodes. You know, when you go to do a timed launch, you can sit down and calculate out the math for what time you have to leave, and you know, the degrees that it takes, that you're going to spin to do the launch. There's a lot of complicated math. I really don't find math that enjoyable. I'm good at math. I like math. But when I sit down to play a game, I don't want to have to spend a half an hour writing out equations and doing the calculations just to get my rocket into orbit, or to do the Hoffman transfer and figure out when I have to launch. And I don't really like just fudging it either. A lot of people will say, well, this is good enough. I just wait till I can see the moon peeking over the horizon, and then I launch, and that's how you do the Hoffman transfer to the moon. And that will get you there. I just feel that's kind of like a cop-out, a cheaty way to go. Well, not like cheaty, but just, you know, it's a guesstimate. I prefer things to be a little more precise. So with MechJeb, I figure NASA has giant computers dedicated to doing these math, and that's where MechJeb comes in. Interesting fact, the cell phones we have now, though, are more powerful than what NASA used to get the Apollo missions to the moon. So, you know, you can always just strap your cell phone to a rocket and get to the moon. I have no problem attaching MechJeb and using that. So MechJeb is just a oversized cell phone. I really wish there was more to watch here during the live stream. I'm planning on posting this to YouTube. I want to start a YouTube channel, and I think we're going to post this to YouTube as well. If I do that, I may try and speed up these launches here. There's not just a whole lot to watch. I mean, that's the one problem with playing Kerbal Space Program. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. You launch something and you wait for it to get into orbit, and then you set up your Hoffman transfer and you wait for it to happen, and then you get into the sphere of the mun, and you set up your burn to change a periapsis, and then you set up your circularization burn and you wait, and then once there you trigger your landing and you wait to land, and then it's just a lot of waiting. You know, so I apologize for this waiting. I'm trying to keep it a little more interesting here. Um, we could go over a couple of the mods I used. I went over a few of them. Obviously we're using MechJeb. We're using CAS Kerbal Attachment System. I try to look for mods that add fun and interesting things to the game. I'm a huge fan of mods. I play a lot of Minecraft, and I am big into the mods, even for that. Simply because I think mods add stuff that the developers haven't had a chance to get to yet, especially in a game that is an alpha like this. Um, so we got MechJeb, we got CAS, which is nice because we can land and run a cable over to dock up. I love the electromagnet. We've used that several times in our landings. If you watched the last episode, we actually use it. We land. Oh dear, what happened there? Not good. All right, let's see what's going on. End of flight. Structural failure on linkage between advanced SAS module and our fuel tank. And that's what started it. All right, well, that is a new one. I have never had the SAS and the RCS tank break apart. So unfortunately, that means we have to launch again. Um, and that might mean this episode's going to be a little long too. I was going to try to keep our episodes down to about a half hour ish. Um, I say half hour ish because, yeah, it broke right there. Yeah, we're going to go a little over, a little under. Basically, when we hit the half hour mark, whenever we get to a good wrapping up point. For the live streams, I think I'm going to probably live stream them right back to back to back, but when I post them on YouTube, I'm going to break them apart into, and that one will reach out far enough, into half hour chunks. And that will just help. Ooh, that's not going to reach out far enough. Just because, it's easier for people to watch a half hour chunk than like our last one. It's kind of big. Oh, I know. Well, no, that's not going to work. We attach it to there. That one's going to be way too big. Okay, so we're just going to do this. We're going to just, I like using the structurals instead of just attaching it directly. That's just me, but we're just going to attach it like that. So, alright, so well, the vehicle mods, we do have expanded editor, I believe it's called, for our vehicle assembly mod, or vehicle assembly. That's our one of our mods in here. It adds things in like being able to snap at different things than just 1, 2, 4, 8 X. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think it goes up to 10. And then for radial, instead of just 0 and 15, you can actually go, up, in different increments as well through the keys. Those I don't use too often. What I do use is what you just seen on the screen right here. This allows surface attachment globally. What that does is parts that you can't normally surface attach, you can, and vice versa. Ones that need to snap to others, you can snap them that way. So I'm just pulling up my Kerbal Space directory here real quick so I can look at my mods so I don't miss any. But so like when we were attaching this part down here, we could have turned on the radial and snapped it directly without putting the strut in. I still like to put the struts in, but sometimes you just can't get it to work out, and so it's nice to be able to toggle that on. It also lets you switch back and forth from SAS or from a vehicle workshop to this one here, the rocket or spaceplane workshop. So the other one we have here at the top, I'm going to go ahead and get the launch started, and I'll explain what this one at the top is. So that one was editor expansions. The one at the top here is called Part Catalog, and it's really nice when you have multiple expansions installed because you can auto sort the expansions by tabs, or you can create your own tabs. You've got your filters down there you've seen me use for the legs. So it's just really nice to be able to sort and find the pieces. I was using one that had a search in it, and I really did be able to be able to search by part and name, and I hope Part Catalog adds something like that in. It would be really nice. But it has enough options and categories. I usually know what mod I'm looking for. I'm looking for a cast piece, or I'm looking for a cathane piece, something like that. So let's go in alphabetical order. I'll go down my mods now. I got this open so I can see what ones I got installed. We have the B9 Aerospace mod installed. This just adds a bunch of parts to it. A lot of things are really pleasing. It helps us build. We then have the Bobcat mod. This is actually Clever Bobcat. That's the cart we attached onto the bottom here. It only has a couple pieces in it, but it's nice. I like having a rover base already built. I don't want to have to put the plates down and then attach the wheels and go through all that when I'm building my rover. I want something that handles basic, and then I can just add my stuff on top of it, kind of as a shortcut. You'll find out I'm big on shortcuts because it lets me get to the parts of the game that I enjoy. Not that I don't enjoy building stuff like this. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of Kerbal Space Program, is to build things. But again, after you've built the same pieces over and over and over again, you've landed 30 rovers on the moon, and you've built the same base 30 different times. It just gets a little tedious. Even with the sub-assembly part loader, it can still get a little tedious because not every rover base seems to work, and the same for every build because the weight's different. And so this is just a nice quick way to be able to say, okay, we're going to slap a base on it and we now have it as a rover. The next one is Bojan. This one is actually, oh, sorry, Bojan's the name of the folder. It is Quantum Struts. I do have a space station in orbit. We are using some quantum struts on that. One of the, what I consider bugs in Kerbal Space Program right now, when you dock two pieces together, they wobble right there at the dock, especially in space. Now, a fix for that is these quantum struts. They basically allow you to put a strut on that you can toggle on and off, and when you dock the two pieces, you toggle that strut on and it makes them attached like they were one piece. I have tried to avoid them for using them for other things other than that. I had a great idea to actually put quantum struts on my rovers here to help fix that bug where you have to brake in order to stop them from rolling away. Every time you load, I thought, if I just slap some quantum struts on there, then we'll be good because it'll attach to the ground even and keep it from moving and whatnot. I even thought of using some of those as landing legs, and when I got close enough, just flip on the quantum struts and boom, we've got landing legs. And we don't have to worry about parts tipping over and things like that. But I don't know, I think that might be kind of abusing them a bit, so I'm going to try to avoid doing that. So we then have Clever Walrus, which I believe is the Wheels mod. This is the mod I haven't used much. I put it on before I found Clever Bobcat as a way to making better rovers. And sorry for my voice, I got a bit of a nasal passage issue this morning, a little plugged up, but I was using this a little bit before to help build rovers, and get some decent rovers going on the mud. And then I found the clever Bobcat one, and I've mostly been using that. I have used some of the wheels though. If you look at last episode, we have some of the wheels on our smelter. Um, that smelter is it got the wheels on the bottom for being able to tow and drive its back end around. So we did use that. We do have crew manifest on here. That's what this button is up here in the corner. This is a nice mod that lets you move your Kerbals from one piece to another. Again, last episode you've seen us use that. We moved from one module to the next all the way down to our airlock, which we had to detach because we actually put it on backwards and our crew hatches were blocked. So yeah, we fixed that though and got that working. By using the crew manifest, moving them down, detaching. We did some dangerous stuff and used our rover to push our piece out of the way and get our guy out. I did forget to clear out the debris between the last episode and this one. And that is something we should probably do. I'm going to try to remember to do it between episodes again, just to clean up our mun there a bit, so we don't have to drive around the debris. It was pretty late last night when I was recording, so next one we already talked about, editor extensions. That's the one that added the snapping and switching between radial. Exagerous engineering. I haven't really used this one much. Honestly, and I'm sorry, I don't remember what it's for. I thought this added in a part to give us more engineering info, but I don't see that, so I'm gonna have to see what mod that came from and figure out what that does. Apparently it sounded cool when I decided to install it, but I tend to install my mods in groups and test a bunch out and then remove the ones I don't like, and I don't know what that one was. Our fuel tanks, huh? LV20 liquid fuel. Okay, vehicle assembly plant. Sorry for the multiple launches, guys. Here, we ran into a couple that we don't normally do, and it might just be because this is a little taller. Tall rockets are hard to launch because they're really wobbly. I could put, I guess, some rockets up there that push inward or something to stabilize it, but yeah, it looks like we dropped here. So we're gonna throw some struts in between these fuel tanks. Yeah, no, I don't know why we dropped there. Let's go straight down there. We'll add another. Oh, and I forgot to put 4 on. I would take off these struts, but one of the things about Kerbal Space Program that I found is a bother. It's really hard to click on these struts to remove them. They just don't like to be clicked on, and so you spend like 10 minutes trying to remove one strut. A lot of time I find it quicker to just remove the piece and go from there. I think we're gonna go from here to there as well. I think we might have broke there actually. You can never have too many struts. It does add a bit of lag to it, but I don't mind adding them a lot on this part because this part gets dropped off anyway. So we don't end up with a lot of struts and lag. Well, here we go again. It's good. We only got about halfway through our mods, so I told you I play with a lot of them. I like mods. I'll also give you my top 10, which ones I think you have to have or should have starting out playing and whatnot. So let's get this back into orbit here. We'll wait for our gravity to kick on. And there's our physics and launch. All right, we'll try this again and see what's going on here. Yeah. Now that we got 30 pounds in struts. So The next one on there is what we're launching now. It's exoplanetary launch pads. This allows you to actually build launch pads on other places. Now, again, some people think this is cheating, and there is one mod out there that lets you just put a base on there and you're ready to go. I went with this one here, the exoplanetary launch pads, the version that I did, because it's not just throw a launch pad up there and go. I've spent several hours now working on getting a working launch pad on the moon. We had to launch our launch pad first, and then we have to have a place to smelt ore, and you have to actually search for the ore. Going from start to finish, you have to search and find the ore. You have to have a drilling platform to drill the ore out. You have to have a smelter to turn that ore into metal. You have to have the rocket workshop to turn the metal into rocket parts. And then you have to have the launch pad to take the rocket parts and actually build the rocket. You also have to have fuel and everything already up there for your rocket. So you have to have just about everything you need to build it already up there. And so I don't really see it as cheating because I put in a lot of effort to get all this in motion. What I think it does add is a lot to the game. It gives you something to do. A lot of people like playing it and doing the little role plays and things like that. I like progress and achieving stuff, tangible results. Exoplanetary launch pads gives me those tangible results because when I'm done, I will have a launch pad on the Mun that I can use to build rockets. And I plan mostly to use it on getting some different rovers up there because then I won't have to launch my rovers. I can build and assemble my rovers right there on the Mun and drive them off the platform and test out how they actually work on the Mun without having to, test them out on Kerbin and then assume that they're going to work well in the lower gravity. Again, without hyper at it, I can't pop it up there and test it out to see if it's going to work before I launch it. So I'm really looking forward to exoplanetary launch pads being complete. The next one folder is Fire Spitter. Again, this just has the fire spitter in there and in the game data and nothing else. I'll pull out my parts. I think those are actually part plugins, and I don't see what they are. I'll go through what I can remember from the parts plugins as well. So, next one is Fuse Tech. Fuse Tech is what we used for our drilling platform, and that was the whole reason I installed that mod. I have MMM installed, but I couldn't get the pieces together the way I wanted to build a decent looking platform for drilling. I wanted something that looked good. Sorry, great English there. Something that looked good, that would have our drills on it and it can be mobile and stuff. And MMM, it just didn't look good by the time I got all the pieces on there. So I found Fuse Tech and I'm like, oh, this is great. It's usually made for space stations, but we ended up using it for our drilling platform, which is great. It worked really well. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Next is CAS, which we've talked about. It adds wenches and electromagnets and grappling hooks and anchors and a bunch of stuff for just attaching. I mostly use CAS for attaching and docking one of these modules to another instead of having to maneuver them in close. I like and as I just knocked doing roleplay, but here's what I enjoy with roleplay. With CAS, I enjoy the part of, and instead of just driving up and docking the two pieces, I actually enjoy popping my Kerbal out and walking him over to this is real quick. Hold on. Got to turn my RCS on. This is one of the things you have to do with MechJeb, at least, well, I do, to make it maneuver easier after the launch. Alright, so I really enjoy grabbing the cable and walking it over and plugging it in and seeing it as a power cable between the two and a way to transfer resources. And I actually, even though it was a little frustrating at first, I found a few bugs with it docking and pulling my rover and smashing it into my my plant. I find that it it is fun being able to get out there, and it gives me a reason to get my Kerbals out of their base and off the rover and actually warming the world, because right now there's not much reason to go out and roam. Once you find the hidden features on the mud, and I won't spoil them for you guys if you haven't found any, but and we may find some in this series here, but I'll warn you beforehand. But if you have, once you found those hidden features and you've walked around those, um, there's not much else to do outside of your capsule. There's not really much reason to go on Eva. Um, so this gives you a reason to get out and walk your guy around and fly him around, and that's what I like is reasons to do things. My next one is Kethane. We talked a little bit about this one that goes with the ore processing. The exoplanetary launch pads that we use requires Kethane to be installed. I did have Kethane installed beforehand. Again, I like reasons to do things. Kethane actually allows me to mine up fuel. After we get our drilling platform and our rockets up there, what I plan on doing is launching a couple fuel tanks full, and plopping them down to our next launch pad and hooking them up. However, we're not going to continually launch fuel to the Mun. We are going to turn around and set up a Kethane plant. Luckily, our main base is on a decent deposit of Kethane, so we're going to set up fairly close, but we'll set up a Kethane plant, and actually drill for Kethane right there. Now, I may, since we'll already have our launch pad up, use our launch pad to assemble our Kethane plant. It really depends on how expensive it gets, ore wise and fuel wise, to build this Kethane plant, on whether we launch it with a rocket or we launch it off our launch pad there. I'm in orbit right now. We're gonna, I think, I'm gonna put a pause in here, just for the half-hour mark. So I'm going to end the live stream real quick and start it right back up. For those of you watching on YouTube, I'm doing this in half-hour segments. We're in orbit now. So next episode, we are going to go from orbit to the Mun, and do the landing on the Mun. The nice thing about the next part is we shouldn't have to pause and reload a whole lot to get it working. We're going to do a quick save here. One thing I always like to do, especially with using MechJet, because it is not perfect. I kind of like the little bugs because it causes me to redo things. It's not 100%. You got to pay attention. But I like quick saving because if something goes wrong, I can load from here. Load scrumming is the best. So we're going to end here, though. I'm going to stop the recording. We'll be back for the live casters here in just a few minutes, to start again. So this is XL Casper signing off. Be sure to have fun.